Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Musgrove, joined by Newcastle United editor Aaron Stokes. Plenty to talk about, Aaron. The World Cup is over. Domestic football is on its return. We had a Newcastle friendly over the weekend. A good win against Rayo Vallecano. We've got Newcastle versus Bournemouth on Tuesday night in the League Cup with a place in the quarter-final up for grabs. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah, very excited. Look, it was fantastic to be back at St James's Park on Saturday after what feels like an absolute eternity, doesn't it? That Chelsea game just seems like an absolute lifetime ago. So, yeah, very good to be back and seeing them in action. And I think Tuesday will be a special atmosphere at St James's Park.
So as usual, we are live on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. So if you're watching live, do drop a comment to us and we'll put them on screen. I'll get Aaron to answer the best questions or any takes you've got on Newcastle United. And if you're listening later on the podcast channel, please do remember to like and subscribe. We are going to talk about Bournemouth. We are going to talk about Rayo Vallecano, but we're going to start with some excellent news that Bruno has won the national vote for the Fans Footballer of the Year, which was run by our parent company, Reach PLC. So that covered all the Premier League teams and some of the best players in the English game, including Beth Mead as well. And Bruno has been crowned the best player in the land, beating the likes of Mo Salah, beating the likes of Beth Mead, Haaland, De Bruyne. Ever in doubt?
No, I don't think it was. I think especially when you've got the very loyal Newcastle United fans on board who, did their very best to make sure Bruno was always going to have a squeak of winning that award. No easy feat, given that Salah's obviously won it the last 2 years, and he went very close to winning it for a third time. But yeah, look, I don't think you can argue with it. Across the whole of 2022, I don't think there's been a more informed player in the Premier League or WSL than Bruno Guimaraes. And yeah, fantastic to see him win not only that one, but also the Newcastle United award as well, which saw him beat Miggy, Joel and Trippier. So yeah, he's already given us a nice little tweet, hasn't he, on social media, praising us.
He's retweeted it. I think had Mo Salah won it, it would have been a bit of a travesty.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Salah's done this year.
Yeah, I think especially when you consider what Liverpool have done so far this season, which is very little, and Salah's sort of having a blip by his usual standards. I do think it would have been a shame to see him beat Bruno. So yeah, over the moon with to see him win both awards, and yeah, hopefully he can keep the crown next year as well.
I'm going to be honest, Ryan. If you've been following the podcast over the last few weeks, there's a bit of building work going on underneath us, and I can hear taps. I think we're going to hear a drill in a moment. Yeah,
nearly there.
Please, if you can hear us downstairs, don't start drilling. Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, great to see him get that accolade. And I think if we take off our Newcastle United specs, as you say, he has been one of the most informed players. There's a reason he was wanted by some top teams, and it remains a bit of a coup that Newcastle United managed to sign him. And he's only got better and better. And I'm excited to see Newcastle United back in general, but I'm really, really excited to see him back in a black and white shirt and hopefully picking up where he left off before the World Cup break.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, this award is for the whole of 2022. And, some people say, well, why has Haaland not got closer, or why is X and Y and Z not got closer? But I think over the 12-month period, when you remember what Bruno did when he came in, when he finally got his chance at Southampton, how he sort of carried that Newcastle team through the second half of last season. And I think, it was just pick up where he left off at the start of this season. I think you can't complain with it. And, we touched on it last week on the pod. He's going to be very disappointed with the manner of Brazil's World Cup defeat. Eddie Howe was asked about it this morning and sort of said that, look, he's back with Newcastle, he's focused. We're going to give him a lot of love to sort of make sure he gets over that disappointment as soon as possible. So hopefully we just see the exact same, model of Bruno that we've seen for the last 12 months when he comes back.
It'll be fine, won't he? You'll just want to like I say, start where he left off and just be in good form for the next squad that comes around. And, next time he gets his chance with the national team, hopefully he's afforded some more minutes under new managers in it as well. So hopefully his chance is still to come on a national level. But I think we'll just pick up the advantage of him wanting to prove a point, really.
Definitely. And look, we've seen how well he performs when he has the Newcastle United support on his back. I think they're going to be behind him, now more than ever. One, after that fans vote, and two, after sort of the manner of his World Cup and how disappointing it must have been for him to not get as many minutes as we all thought he would. So yeah, I've got no doubt that we're going to see him, the exact same Bruno as we saw, previously, whether that's tomorrow night or more likely probably Boxing Day on New Year's Eve.
Like we say, he did beat some fantastic players. We mentioned there Mo Salah, who hasn't really had the best of seasons so far. But Haaland, I mean, he's been on absolute fire. To beat Haaland, and I know we've had some help from Mr. Toon Pools as well to get Bruno this award. But he was in their list. He was in there out of merit, and Haaland's had a fantastic start of the season. But if we're looking over the course of 2022, Bruno hit the ground running when he came in, and he's continued. He's really been that driving force alongside Kieran Trippier to where Newcastle United are now.
100%. And look, football fans are very sort of short term in their nature, and a lot of people will be looking and saying, how can anyone win it over Haaland? But as we've said, Haaland's done it for a couple of months. You can't really take away anything that he's done, but Bruno has done it consistently for 12 months, which is why I feel he's won the award. Look, thoroughly deserved. I think it was always a shoo-in that he was going to win the Newcastle one. As Miggy probably falls into that Haaland category. He just didn't do enough in the first half of the season. Trippier has been fantastic as well, and I don't think anyone would have been surprised to see him get a bit closer. But I think just the way Bruno's came in and instantly had that connection with the fans. I mean, I remember against Crystal Palace in the last round of the cup when he came off the bench, and I've never known like a crowd at St James's Park take to a new signing like this in such a short period of time. And it's crazy to think he hasn't even been at the club for a year yet, and he's already sort of given this legendary status. So hope that he's fine after the World Cup. Hope he's came through it physically and mentally unscathed, which it looks like he has, according to Howe. And look, just need to get him back, give him that Newcastle love, and see what we can do in 2023.
Of course, we're coming up to nearly a year since Kieran Trippier and Bruno Gomes both joined Newcastle United, and the the situation in which they joined to where Newcastle United are now couldn't be more different. But what a year it's been for both those players, and those arrivals have set the bar for hopefully what's to come January, summer, and so on.
It's set the bar in a lot of ways, because now the club need to be trying to find talent of that level as the club progress up the table, manage to get European competitions, want to go deep into the cups. The onus is now on the scouting department to find players of that quality. They also could be victims of their own success, given that you'd say probably 90% of their transfer business since the takeover has been spot on. There's now, that desire among the fan base to make sure that doesn't slip and they don't, rest on their laurels or start, panicking and buying players that they don't need or spending over the odds. So, yeah, look, it's been a fantastic year on the pitch, off the pitch. The new signings have been fantastic. I don't think you can really fault the recruitment at all. So, can 2023 be as good as 2022? I mean, there's such a high bar to hit now next year.
I mean, there's the potential Newcastle could be qualifying for Europe and in a cup final. I mean, if they get the better of Bournemouth on Tuesday, which I think they will, I don't think it'll be easy by any means, but if they get the better of Bournemouth, then they stand such a good chance of getting to the final of the League Cup.
Yeah, they do. And look, Howe made no bones about it this morning. He's made no bones about it all season. They're really, really going for the cup this year. And I thought there was one question that stood out from that press conference this morning, and he was asked by a local reporter as to whether, it was good that they had Bournemouth tomorrow because it set them up nicely for the Premier League game on Sunday, and they got minutes in the belt. And actually, Howe said, we've used this break not thinking of, right, Vallecano and Bournemouth are good stepping stones for Leicester. This is the game that we've had in mind. This is the game. There's no dead games for Newcastle United anymore. And look, just the fact Howe's came out in the past and said that his dream is to win a cup. You really do believe that he wants to get this done before he leaves Newcastle, and they probably won't have a better time to do it. No European football this season. The form that they've been in going into the cups, and I just think it could really happen this season. And look, we don't want to jinx it, but I think you get the feeling now that you didn't get in other years that actually Newcastle United could really be cup contenders.
Do you expect them to beat Bournemouth?
I think they will, and I think it's because Howell pick a very strong 11. He was given absolutely nothing away this morning. Many journalists try to get a little inkling out of him as to who would start in goal, who would start up front, who would start in the middle. And he really didn't want to give anything away, but I think we knew he'll go strong.
Did he give enough hint, though, with the team that he picked on Saturday against Rayo Vallecano?
Probably. I think we were all surprised that Trippier and Pope came back in.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, none of us were expecting those two to play. Is he doing that because he wants to get them up to speed ahead of tomorrow? More than likely. I mean, he was asked about Loris Karius this morning, who we all thought last week would be a shoo-in to start that cup game.
I do apologise. So the drilling has decided to be right beneath us here, which is slightly annoying.
Where was I? Sorry, honestly, that's just so distracting, isn't it? Yeah, but look, Loris Karius, we all thought would be a shoo-in to start last week. Howe asked about him this morning, and it was a very short answer along the lines of, he's in contention, so we'll have to see. But I think there'll be a strong team tomorrow.
Right, I do apologise, guys. Obviously, the drilling has begun, which is very annoying. We're going to have to cut this short because if that goes on, we can't, unfortunately, record. So I'm going to end the recording now. I do apologise. Hopefully, we'll be back in a not too distant moment. Just give me a second. Sorry, guys.